New England and Brady. And you know how I feel. In fact, I'm fairly obnoxious. I understand that. It drives many of you crazy.
This is Colin Coward. He's going to talk about LeBron James. Not LeBron James. He's going to talk about Michael Jordan and Tom Brady. And if Tom Brady wins his sixth Super Bowl championship, he's going to say now that Tom Brady is the greatest individual team sport accomplished winner of all times.
But aren't you happy I at least like the best quarterback of all time? I don't talk about Andy Dalton every day. So here's the thing. In our life, Michael Jordan is considered, like the greatest athlete ever. But if Tom Brady also wins his sixth Super Bowl, I gotta be honest with you, it's only a two-person conversation now as the greatest team athlete ever.
I gotta disagree with him. Michael Jordan is in the league of his own because the simple fact Michael Jordan plays and can impact the game on both sides of the ball. He can impact the game on defense and offense. He can have a clutch moment on defense and offense. Unlike Tom Brady plays football and he only can impact the game on one side of the field.
To be honest with you, I thought about this a lot last night. Brady wins his first. He's the greatest team athlete ever. Because to be the greatest, you have to beat the greatest. Wasn't that always the knock on Tiger Woods? Hey, Jeff.
Yes, that is the saying. To beat the greatest, you got to be the greatest. But Tom Brady has not surpassed Michael Jordan, so therefore he has not beat the best.
Nicholas had to beat Arnold Palmer and Gary Player, and you listed all those great golfers, and you always criticized Tiger Woods. Who did Tiger beat? I mean, Phil Mickelson? Sergio? I mean, who was really great? That was always your criticism of Tiger. To be the greatest, you got to beat some greats. He beat Frazier, Foreman, Norton, Mike Tyson, Lennox Lewis. He beat Trevor Burbick and an old Larry Holmes. To be the greatest, who did you beat? Tom Brady beat two teams. The St. Louis Rams, who already had a title, were on their way to a dynasty. Brady ended it. The Seattle Seahawks,
Yes, that's true that Tom Brady did beat the St. Louis Rams back in 2001 season, 2002. It's a lot of things about that St. Louis Rams versus New England. New England was the underdog, but people have to fairly realize New England had a great defense going into that game, and it showed by them holding the greatest show on turf to just 17 points. The game was 20-17. Adam Vinatieri hit the game-winning field goal. Yes, Tom Brady did drive him the length of the field, but Adam Vinatieri hit the game-winning field goal to win that game. And New England Patriots were a young team, but they had a great defense going into that Super Bowl. And defenses win championships, especially when you're in the playoffs. Your defense can take you a long way. Look at the 1985 Chicago Bears. Look at the 2000 Ravens, and look at the 2002 Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And and we can also say the recent Seattle Seahawks, who also won a championship and got to another Super Bowl on the back of their great defense.
Got a championship on their way to a dynasty. Brady psychologically and physically ended it. They were never the same after that loss. Peyton Manning and the Colts on their way to a dynasty. Tom Brady never let it happen. Michael Jordan beat Utah twice in the finals. Even when he retired, they couldn't get to the finals. He then beat Portland, Phoenix, and...
Yes, see, it's a lot of people that's coming up now. They're saying that Michael Jordan never beat anybody winning his titles. He beat Utah. Like Utah was a great team. Utah had two Hall of Famers on their team, and Karl Malone and John Stockton. Karl Malone was regarded as one of the best power forwards of his era. John Stockton was regarded as one of the best point guards of his era. These guys did not barely make it to the Hall of Fame. They bust through the Hall of Fame. They were great players, and that Utah team led by Jerry Sloan, hard-nosed coach, that was a great Utah team. The Bulls played them in back-to-back years, and that was a great win for the Bulls both times they played Utah. The first time the Bulls had home field advantage, the second time they didn't.
Seattle. Those group of players never won titles, and the Lakers.
That Seattle team, a lot of people talk about that Seattle team. They had Gary Payton and they had Sean Kemp in their prime. You could arguably say that team, player for player, was better than the Bulls team up and down the roster. Yes, the Bulls had Scottie Pippen, they had Michael Jordan, and they had Dennis Rodman. But the rest of those guys on that team were role players. Seattle had Detlef Schrempf. They had Sean Kemp, as I said. They had Gary Payton. They had Nate McMillan. They had a great defense, too. Gary Payton was one of the best defensive guards. Nate McMillan was one of the best small forward guards that played really, really good defense. That team actually had a better... They had the number one seed that year. I believe Seattle had the number one seed that year. That was a great Seattle team. They had to come through a great Western Conference with Houston and Phoenix was in that conference. The West was real strong back then. That was a great Seattle team. A lot of people do not give that team the credit it deserves. And that Phoenix team from top to bottom was a really good roster too. That Phoenix team, they actually had the best record. The Bulls had to go on the road, and they won the first two games. And a lot of people say, oh, those teams were not as great as Michael Jordan team. The difference is the Bulls had Michael Jordan, and those guys did, and those teams did not have Michael Jordan. That's what made the Bulls so great. They had the greatest player to ever play the game, in my opinion.
First team he beat, Kareem was done, and Magic was done right after that. Michael could never get past the Pistons and the Celtics when they were in their prime.
Now, this is another thing people always talk about. They always talk about Jordan cannot beat the Celtics, the Lakers, or the Pistons in their prime. What they fail to realize, and they don't even tell you, is Michael Jordan came in 3 and 4 years after those guys, after Isaiah, after Magic, after Larry Bird, and they already had their teams established by the time Michael Jordan got in the league. Michael Jordan got in the league in 84. Those guys came in the league in 79 and 81. The Detroit Pistons by that time have built a great roster around Isaiah Thomas with Joe Dumars, the microwave Vinnie Johnson, in those cast of characters, Mark Aguirre from Chicago. They had a nice roster, and they were ready to win. They were already poised and ready to dethrone the Celtics at the time. The Celtics had numerous Hall of Famers on their team. They had Kevin McHale, Robert Parrish, Dennis Johnson, and Bill Walton coming off the bench. Bill Walton was a Hall of Famer that was coming off the bench. They had all-time great players on their team, along with Larry Bird, who also is a Hall of Famer. Magic Johnson played at the time that Jordan did not supposedly beat the Lakers in their prime. They had arguably the best player in the league, ever played. A lot of people do pick Kareem Abdul-Jabbar as the best player to ever play. Magic Johnson, the best point guard to ever play the game. They had Byron Scott. They had big game James Worthy, a small forward that was one of the greatest small forwards of all time. So to say Michael Jordan did not beat those guys he was not going to beat those guys in their prime, because they had super teams. By the time Jordan got in the league, they had already formed super teams. And Michael Jordan was supposed to beat those Boston Celtics and Detroit Pistons and Los Angeles Lakers with a young Scottie Pippen, a young Horace Grant. Come on, man. Let's be real.
Brady went into the teeth of that Seattle defense in its prime and owned it.
Yes, he did go into the teeth of the Seattle defense and win. It was a comeback win. It was a great game. It's not like Brady slashed them up and won the game in a blowout. It was a close game. Malcolm Butler made a great play at the goal line, which I thought Seattle should have ran the ball with beast mode Marshawn Lynch. They didn't. They chose to pass the ball, and it was what it was. Yes, Brady get a lot of credit for that, but also Brady was at his peak, peak of his powers, and that Seattle defense, though it was great, Tom Brady will carve up just about any scheme and seen any scheme necessary in the NFL to be able to handle that Seattle defense. And also, he had a really good team too. Like I said about that Seattle team, that Seattle team was the greatest show on turf. Yes, they had won a Super Bowl previously before they played the Patriots. But like I said, the Patriots had a great defense. I believe their defense was ranked in the top 5 that year, if I'm not mistaken. They had players like Lori Malloy, Richard Sherman, Mike Vrabel, Teddy Bruschi. They had Willie McGinnis. They had Adam Vinatieri, the greatest cut kicker in the in NFL history. He won 3 Super Bowls for them off of his leg. So, and he kicked them into their first Super Bowl against the Raiders in the snow. I know everybody remember the tuck rule when Brady fumbled, when Charles Wilson came around the corner and made Brady fumble, and they ended up overturning that call, and Anna Vinatieri kicked them into the Super Bowl. Yes, I know everybody remember that. If you're too young to remember that, go back and watch that.
Teeth of Peyton Manning. Many consider the greatest quarterback of all time. They do, many. And he never let the dynasty become a real thing. Brady also won Super Bowl.
Jordan also never let a dynasty form on his watch either. Jordan never let a defense form on his watch either. You know, Jordan would not get passed by Tom Brady, in my opinion. During this Super Bowl, if Tom Brady won the Super Bowl, he would not pass Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan was 6 for 6. All Super Bowls, he was the MVP. Tom Brady was only the MVP in 4 of the 8 Super Bowls he went to. Michael Jordan was the 5-time MVP of the regular season. I think Tom Brady, he was like 3 times or 2 times. He won the MVP 2 times in his season. And like I said, Michael Jordan can influence both sides of the ball. He can influence defense and offense. Michael Jordan was also the defensive player of the year. So, like I said, Michael Jordan can have clutch moments on both sides of the ball. He showed it against Utah when they played Utah in that second championship. Michael Jordan stripped Karl Malone, came down, got the ball, and hit the game-winning shot on Brian Russell. And that was the last shot he took in the Bulls uniform. It was a game-winning clutch steal on defense, and it was a clutch shot on offense. Michael Jordan is the best individual, in my opinion, the best individual champion winner of all time.